Hey, Rashi here. Welcome back to Hercule Poirot. Quick recap on what we're doing. Currently trying to figure out what's happening with this blackmail. I might quickly just go into options. I also realized, and I didn't realize this before, I'm going to turn the SFX volume down because it's a bit loud. But I had deduction hints on. I didn't mean to. So I've turned that off now, so it's going to make me look even more stupid. So hopefully that helps. But yes, so we've met Ernesto de Silva. He's a factory owner and he supports the family. This a-hole is ex-military. Well, yeah. We've also met Gideon, the fiancé. Okay. Hugo Beckers, he's a union leader, so he's probably going to clash heads with the factory owner. And then there's Inge, who's the servant of the house. Oh, and there's more. There's Jackie Conrad. She's the American. She's a newspaper magnate. And Margot. I like her. She's nice. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to investigate the blackmail. Let's talk to Zach.
Fire away, detective.
Perhaps it is best I take my leave.
Apparently we shouldn't talk to Zach since he doesn't have anything to tell me. What about Cassandra? Oh yes, we're about to do the dinner, if I was not mistaken. Who do I talk to start the dinner?
Merci.
Margot?
I am all yours, detective.
Yeah, you are.
It has been a pleasure.
Maybe we just go into the dining room? Who do I speak to?
What can I do for you?
The smell from the kitchen is becoming almost too much to bear.
Ah, perfect timing. I was about to ask that everyone move through to the dining room.
Très bien.
Oh! Nice.
Yes, Maman. Perhaps Turkey. I would love to see my beloved's homeland.
I'm sure we will decide on somewhere. Perhaps where we are both yet to have visited.
It was my crowning achievement.
I am not so sure you workers would agree.
Are you sure? I've definitely seen your face somewhere before.
I do not believe there is another that resembles these features, or brains, at least.
I've always liked the idea of sailing the West Indies.
In that heat? With your complexion?
Okay, but you lived in the capital at one time.
Oui, mademoiselle. I spent much of my working life there.
Maybe sleeping off half a bottle of whiskey. Let us not be so blasé with our opinions, brother.
If you ask me.
I don't believe anyone did.
This is a bit tense. Although the food looks marvelous.
You're that officer! The shootout on the rooftop! Your face was all over our front page!
It seems it is not only I that possesses great skills of deduction. You...
Please, come quick! The major has been murdered in his study!
No.
Monsieur
No way.
and Madame, I am Detective Hercule Poirot of the Belgian Police Force. I ask that you all remain calm and in your seats. I shall begin my investigation immediately. Monsieur Sterling, please, lead the way.
Okay. That I wasn't expecting. A murder. Chapter 3, The Major. A noticeable, almost sinister chill can be felt upon entering.
This is Mr. Hagen's study, Detective. Would you like me to stay?
He really does not seem concerned.
I understand if you are not comfortable with such a scene.
Don't you worry, Detective. I've seen much worse in my years.
That would explain why.
I am thankful to have someone of your resilience by my side.
I just can't believe someone could have killed him in cold blood. Is that what you think happened?
I admire your faith in your fellow man, but you will be surprised what someone will do when they feel there is no other option.
Did any members of the staff have access to this
Mr.
office?
Hagen does not allow any staff into the study, and they were all present in the staff quarters, or part of the dinner service.
And everyone was accounted for?
Everyone. It is my business to know all my staff's whereabouts.
Tell me about the phone call the Major received earlier.
Phone call? Yeah. It was one of his business associates.
Do you know what associate?
He didn't say. I think he was French. The accent still confuses me sometimes.
And did the Major sound any different to you? Panicked, anxious, anything out of the ordinary?
Not that I noticed. I think he was embarrassed about ending up on the floor after Master Gideon's one punch. I would be.
Your help and discretion in this matter are
I would have
greatly
also be.
appreciated. Aha.
He was stabbed. A single stab wound. I would expect to see a number of puncture wounds if the culprit had come here with the intention of murder. A result of the confrontation with Monsieur Demire, although only one punch was thrown, there is substantial bruising to his face. I must use all my deductive skills and experience here. Besides the stab wound, there is little to go on from his body. There's not much blood either. I was brought here to find the blackmailer, but discovering the truth behind the Major's death must take precedence. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this man to fucking die. What could have caused such a large damp patch on the floor? Blood? There's a wallet. It does not look as though anything is obviously missing from it. The window's open. The snow continues to bellow in. Why this window has been left open, I cannot fathom. Letter. A note is stuffed down the side of the seat. You do not know me, but I know you and your past very well. Years have passed and your actions remain hidden to the world, actions that would shame even the evilest of men. The details so heinous to include them would surely bring a tear to my eye. Now is the time for the truth to be revealed to all. While not one man is to blame for the final outcome, it was you that brought about the final piece to the puzzle, the one that no one else would. If you wish to remain a free man, fill a brown paper parcel with 5,000 francs addressed to Monsieur Dupont, to Barbier and Sons, cobbler, before closing this coming Wednesday. While there is time to consider your next move, I would not ponder on it for too long. When the world knows of your crimes, they will surely not ponder long on your punishment. Another blackmail letter written in a similar manner to the ones addressed to Mademoiselle Angeline. Could the Major be hiding a secret of his own, or is he in fact the author of the letters? That is the question. Is there anything on the table I can look at? No. Carpet is burnt. It's quite severe. Such a shame to see such a beautifully made carpet ruined. Surprising that it has been left visible. Surely it would be a quick and easy fix. Unless it just happened. A bulky safe made with security in mind. It's locked tight, but a box of valuables sits on top. What is this tiny little thing? Odd to have a bucket this size for such a minute amount of water. Let's have a look. Okay, so these things were all left.
Another success. I never doubted myself.
The obvious items of values have not been taken. Why would the killer not take a reward? Yes. The valuables are not taken, but they're locked tight.
Not get me any closer.
No. The second floor window is open, which could be why this floor is damp. Could be the snow, or it could be the ice bucket.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming to.
Someone has knocked over the bucket and then repositioned it. Someone besides the Major. Yes, so the bucket was overturned. The carpet was burnt. Second floor window could lead to this.
Magnifique.
Yeah. If someone had gone to the lengths of scaling the wall, they surely would have taken some valuables. It was not a simple burglary. The wall is unrepaired. I assume he had the ice cubes for his bruises.
Order and method.
But I don't think that's what the quiz is. Well, I assume he had the ice cubes for his face. He was stabbed, but I don't have a murder weapon.
I should not be surprised by my own skip.
So there are signs that something occurred in the study between the Major and our unknown fugitive. Evidence of a fight. I can confirm that the window was not the intruder's point of entry. Careless of me not to check the door first upon arrival. The door shows no signs of forced entry or tampering. Could they just have knocked and been allowed to enter? Probably. So the logical entry point means that they knew each other. The obvious and logical entrance to the study and the waiting Major. Did the killer simply enter through the door? They did. Maybe this goes here.
What a revelation.
Evidence shows that a fight of sorts broke out sometime after the killer entered the room unobstructed. The door from the bedroom to the study was how the perpetrator entered the room, but what I still do not know is were they invited in or did they slip in unknown? Talk to Archibald.
Anything I can do to help, Detective?
Has anyone else entered this room this evening?
Rihanna brought him some ice for his cheek earlier.
And when was that?
When he returned from his cigar outside, he asked for something to be brought upstairs to ease the swelling of his face. He would normally smoke only in here. Lady Vandenbosch doesn't like the smell of his cigars in the public rooms.
Madame continues to rule her home how she sees fit, and it is her prerogative.
Your help and discretion in this matter are greatly appreciated.
Now that I know that the Major was not alone, it is time to search the study further in hopes of finding a clue as to who was with him. New mind map unlocked. The scene of the crime has been investigated, but it does not show a straightforward series of events. The circumstances around the Major's cigar is one such avenue that requires further exploration. Yes, so clearly his jacket's here. A scruffy-looking jacket is hanging upon the coat rack. The Major's scabbard is in the pocket. Ashtray. A reasonably full ashtray. I would have expected him to at least clean this out. A discarded towel folded and unused. No matches remain. A rather organized desk containing what looks like important documents. There's a wine bottle over there. It's incredibly dirty. The logs are old and covered in dust. A normal-looking poker stand. Nothing appears out of the ordinary. Well, clearly something's out of the ordinary. So, there's a half-smoked cigar. Everything is well used. There's a ring of dust. Moldy logs. The matchbox is empty. Well, see, I could deduce that it has something to do with this. The Major was smoking recently, unsurprisingly, and dropped his cigar. What could have lit the cigar? The desk is very tidy, and the letter opener is old. So the letter opener could not have been the stab wound.
Come, my little grey cell.
There's a missing knife, however.
Things are beginning to be...
The Major's knife is missing, and his body lies with a stab wound. It could very well be the murder weapon. Everything is old and worn. No signs of being used recently.
The pieces of the puzzle are...
I would have expected a Major to keep his belongings in a much tidier fashion. The room has not been cleaned. Killer's entry to the room was unobstructed. Let's go talk to Archie.
Anything I can do to help, Detective?
For a house that has such high standards, there is a noticeable lack of care taken in here.
As I said, Mr. Hagen did not allow the staff in here alone, besides me. He was very clear on that.
Have the staff ever given him reason to not trust them?
Nothing has ever been brought to my attention, but he was very clear no one was to be in here without his permission.
I suppose it is not unreasonable. I would have thought with his military past he would have kept it immaculate with not a speck of dust or hair out of place. But the fireplace, for instance, says otherwise.
I haven't seen it lit since he has been with us, even in the colder months. It's been in this state for some time.
Your help and discretion in this matter are greatly appreciated.
Unless he's not a man of the military. So it's unused.
Things are beginning
to
become clear.
There are no items that could start a fire or light a cigar. So what lit the cigarette?
Guess. I would...
There remains no means to light his cigar. Someone must have lit it for him. Someone he trusted, but who?
What a revelation.
Someone lit his cigar for him and attacked him when he least expected it. Who could have been so ruthless? The Major knew his attacker. The knife is missing. There is very much something I'm not seeing.
Another success.
This crime scene has been tampered with. The killer clearly had enough time to cover their tracks. Because things were cleaned.
I should not be surprised by my own skills of deduction.
There is currently no way to rule out the poker being the murder weapon. Because the poker was cleaned.
Magnifique.
So the killer may still be in the building. They lit the Major's cigar and following the brutal act of murder took the time to clean the scene. They were not in a hurry and could still be in the house. How could they remain so calm? The murder weapon remains a mystery. The killer whose identity is still to be uncovered must still reside in this house. Come, my little grey cells, let us solve this mystery. New mind map unlocked. I was not expecting to have a murder case on my hands when I arrived, but this will merely be another test for the great Detective Poirot. Okay, so I can talk to you.
Anything I can do to help, Detective?
I believe I have collected all the necessary information and evidence. I would now like to inspect his adjoining bedroom.
As you wish.
It is clear the reason for entering the Major's study was not to make haste with his valuables. What I must understand is if the intent for murder was there. The study has been manipulated following the Major's death, meaning they had time to return to the scene and attempt to cover their tracks. The perpetrator entered through the bedroom. Perhaps there is something they failed to clean up behind them that can make sense of all this. I should review what clues the study yielded before I continue. If the killer still resides in the house, I must approach everyone with not only caution but suspicion. So there's a letter here. Another letter addressed to the Major. It appears he has someone looking out for his business concerns with the workers' strike. Felix, I understand that there are a number of business concerns for you in the situation that has arisen within the factories, but I offer this piece of advice. Step back. Monsieur Becker's efforts with the union have finally opened the workers' eyes, and they seek, nay, demand the fair treatment they deserved for so long. The fuel for the fire has already been laid, and the match is ready to be struck. You do not want to be near those flames when they ignite. I know you were once a good, honourable man. I pray that is still true today. I must review the information I have gathered from each guest today. There may be something that will help reveal the identity of the letter's author. The drawer's open. It seems Madame Van den Bosch's heart is a trophy worth fighting over. Major Hagen, I hope you'll excuse my bluntness and plain speaking, but there is a matter regarding Madame Van den Bosch that requires not only our attention, but a level of understanding and respect between us both. I am fully aware of the help that you have offered to not only Madame, but her family and household. I am also aware that you know of the assistance that I have given to Madame and the Viscount before her. We were friends and business partners, and I felt it my duty to continue to give aid and keep the Van den Bosch name at the standing that it has always been. Having said that, it is not always as simple to keep business and personal matters separate, and this is how I find myself today. Cassandra and I share a bond that one does not experience often in their lifetime. No doubt you have felt similar, but what may be lust to one man is love to another. While I respect you for your efforts in the war and the generosity you've shown, Madame, I must request you step back from what you consider to be your duties at the house and allow for Madame to make her choice, the choice that I believe is obvious to all parties. I trust this correspondence remains for your eyes only, and a gentleman's agreement is enough to guarantee our arrangement. Who would actually ever want to be with her? She's awful. It is a rather bold move to challenge the Major, as they have, especially with his position at the house. Note. A rather threatening letter has been penned, addressed to Major F. Hagen. Dear Major F. Hagen, I did not think I would ever find myself writing a letter such as this, but under the current circumstances I see no other option. Madame Van den Bosch and I have been friends for more years than I care to say. That is why I can no longer sit back and allow your bullying to continue. I am well aware of the companionship you have offered to my good friend over the years. It has been most generous, and without it I cannot think what would have happened to her. But that does not give you the opportunity to act in such a foul and boorish manner. The day the Viscount passed, I promised that I would protect both Cassandra and Angeline, and it is a promise I will keep. You were once a major in the British Armed Forces, but your actions have mirrored that of a drunken fool who hold no place in our society, let alone Madame's house. Please do not bother yourself with a response. There is not a question that requires an answer. Only I hope that you see your errors and adjust them accordingly. The author speaks of bullying, and although no specifics are noted, any form of treatment towards a woman is not acceptable. There's a hunting rifle.
Oh.
I'm not sure how I would fare coming face to face with such beasts. Okay. So, determine who in the house warrants cautious attention. So we know Margot does charity work. She's protective of Cassandra. This person says they're close to her.
Of the puzzle are fine.
Margot was quick to speak of her protection over Cassandra. She must take this role very seriously. I do believe that that is written by Margot. Hugo is a union leader.
Is there something I am...
No. So, mention of helping the family. Ernesto supports the family.
Some would say a lucky guess.
If there is something between Ernesto and Madame Van den Bosch, Archibald will surely know of it.
Magnifique.
The only other union supporter I know that is passionate enough to write such a letter, Monsieur Gideon. It's written by Gideon. So Gideon had motive, Margot had motive, and Ernesto.
Certainly. What do you need?
What do you know of the Major's relationships with the guests?
The male guests, I believe, he knows in a business capacity, but I'm afraid that's all I know. I will add, though, he has not always been the easiest man to get along with.
You are talking from personal experience of working for him.
I am head butler to the Van den Bosch family in their home. He has made himself comfortable, but to me he still remained a guest.
Do you know much of the Major's time in the army?
There's not much I couldn't tell you. As soon as he found out my father was in the army, his stories never stopped.
I am sure an officer of his rank must have many a tale.
A tale is a fitting description. Not so much a pinch of salt, more like a bag is needed listening to them.
What can you tell me about Monsieur de Silva, the Major, and Madame Van den Bosch?
You've lost me, detective?
I struggle to believe they were both helping her out of the kindness of their hearts. Could they have been fighting for the Madame's affection?
Ah, that didn't take you long to spot.
Monsieur Sterling's lack of real response gives me all the answer I require.
Your help and discretion in this matter are greatly appreciated.
So, yeah. The Major is generally disliked. Cassandra has multiple admirers.
Another success.
Now I know of Ernesto's feelings towards Cassandra. He must be the one behind the letter.
What a revelation.
It seems the guests were not fond of the Major. So,
Things are beginning to become...
it's highly possible one of the guests is behind the murder. This warrants immediate investigation. Based on the evidence seen in the Major's study and bedroom, as well as what I have learnt from speaking with the guests, Monsieur de Silva, Comtesse de Vos, and Monsieur de Mere warrant concern and further investigation.
Certainly. What do you need?
There is nothing further for me to investigate in here. Would you kindly gather the guests for me?
As you wish, detective.
It seems there is no simple explanation for what happened here. The Major's popularity amongst the guests does not seem very high. There are still many questions that must be asked. Ooh, chapter 4. The interrogations.
The guests are waiting for you, detective. I informed them of what has happened, but divulged no details.
There goes my opportunity to catch one of them off guard. No matter, I have more than one weapon in my arm.
I am most grateful. Madame Van den Bosch is here also?
She's in her room with Miss Angeline. It may be better to speak with them privately tomorrow.
Oui, merci. I shall come find you again once my questioning is complete.
The guest alibis are my priority. Once I can confirm their whereabouts this evening, I can understand who had an opportunity. New mind map. I have my lead suspects from the evidence at the scene of the crime. Perhaps those will change after speaking with them all. Yeah, so I want to start probably with Zach, even though he's not a lead suspect.
I'm afraid our conversation is of a more formal nature this time.
So the Major was murdered?
It appears so.
You can't think that I did it, though.
I will be questioning everyone over the course of the evening, and your cooperation will certainly speed up that process.
Besides speaking with me, tell me about your movements before dinner.
I was here in the salon, minding my own business, enjoying my own company.
He was in here quite a lot.
Minding your business from whom?
Comtesse, what's her name, and my brother. Apart from wanting to congratulate him for a great right hook, there was nothing I had to say to him.
Comtesse de Vos? And they will both confirm you were here?
If she had taken a moment to notice anything besides herself, she will tell you I was here the whole time.
Okay.
I think that is all for now. Merci for your time.
All right, Hugo.
Bonsoir, Monsieur Beckers. Merci for speaking with me.
Monsieur Poirot, or should it be Detective Poirot now?
Detective Poirot is perfect. Merci. I would like to begin with a few questions.
Go right ahead, Detective Poirot.
Can you tell me where you were prior to dinner?
I took great pleasure in seeing the Major's ego as well as his face take a bruising. And then I made my way to the library.
Well, you spoke with Mademoiselle Conrad.
And yourself? Yes.
We were the only two that you spoke with.
One of the servants brought me a drink and I was telling her about the benefits of joining a union. She didn't understand what it truly meant to be a part of something. Something bigger than just her. I was trying to explain to her how...
Monsieur.
Oh, yes, it was just the two of you and the servant.
Strange that he does not seem to recall seeing Monsieur de Silva in the library.
And you are sure there was no one else present?
I'm not sure what you're getting at, detective. You were there.
Merci, Monsieur Beckers. It has been a most enlightening conversation. Countess, I am sorry our next conversation must be under such formal circumstances.
It is not the first time Felix has ruined a good party.
The current state of tonight's celebrations is the least of my priorities, Countess.
Well, it's at the top of mine, detective. I did not come here for a wake.
Perhaps then we should proceed with my questions and you can get back to celebrating.
It would be my pleasure, chérie.
We spoke earlier. Did you remain here in the salon until dinner was served?
I did. I thought by staying in one place, it would be easy for the staff to bring me my drinks. How wrong I was.
And who else was present in here?
The handsome groom-to-be and his brother, although Zachariah, is it, made a rather sharp exit at one stage.
Did he say where he was going?
He barely said 2 words to either of us. I think he was more concerned with his drink.
Another to notice Monsieur Demir's drinking, and yet no one seems concerned.
Merci, Countess. If I have any further questions, I shall be sure to come and find you.
All right, Jackie.
Mademoiselle Conrad, I am sure you understand the delicate nature of the situation.
I knew I had seen your face before. You were just an officer when that story hit the paper.
She's still on that?
You have a très bon memory, mademoiselle. That was a long time ago.
You can't escape the past, especially when you go and do something like that.
That is very true, but one can learn from it and create a better future.
What would you say to an
Please, mademoiselle. Catching the Major's killer is my sole concern right now. Now, if you would be so kind, I have some questions for you.
Tell me about your evening since your arrival.
I arrived, unpacked my bags in my room, and made it downstairs just in time to see the Major take a right hook from Gideon. And then I went to check out the library.
And you were joined by Monsieur Beckers.
And Ernesto, or Monsieur de Silver, as you say. But after he ignored my attempt at pleasantries, I left him to his book in the corner.
And your conversation with Monsieur Beckers that I interrupted.
You are a persistent one, aren't you? Makes sense now I know who you really are. You'll just have to wait and read about it in the paper like everyone else.
Mademoiselle Conrad still remains tight-lipped about her discussion with Monsieur Beckers, but a hint at reading about it in the newspaper makes me believe it may be of much grander nature than I expected.
You have been most helpful. I request you do not go too far. Merci.
Okay, anybody else in here? No. What if I just started playing piano? Alright, I'm going to talk to Ernesto and then we'll go with Gideon for last.
Monsieur de Silva, merci for obliging me.
A detective comes to a party and a dead body shows up. Coincidental, don't you think?
A man's death is not a matter to joke on, monsieur.
Who said anything about a joke? I am saying what I see.
Then perhaps you can tell me what it was you saw this evening.
Where were you prior to dinner?
Following whatever that was in the hall, I moved to the library.
Is there anyone that can confirm that?
Miss Conrad and Beckers were in there, arguing about something. The books held my interest far more than their conversation.
You did not speak with them until dinner was served?
I had no reason to get involved with their little spat. It was clear they didn't want me to hear, and that suited me just fine.
Okay.
Merci for your cooperation.
And Gideon.
Monsieur Demir, I am sorry your celebrations have taken a rather dark turn.
As am I, Detective. I hope we will be able to bring this investigation to an end post-haste.
With your cooperation, I will do my very best.
Besides your time in the hall, where were you before we were summoned to the dining room?
I was here in the salon. I thought I would have a moment of peace to calm myself, but the Comtesse and my brother followed behind.
Did they inquire into the reasons behind the fight in the hall?
I think they both saw it as some light entertainment, more than anything else.
The Comtesse does not strike me as one to enjoy violence.
And not so much violence, but karma for the Major, perhaps. You did not hear how he spoke to my wife-to-be. She is still rather upset about the whole thing.
If you would be so kind as to stay here, I may require your help further.
Okay, so spoke to all of them. Oh shit, there's 6. Okay, so Zach, he was in the salon, he expressed disdain for Margot, and he saw Gideon and Margot. And Gideon saw Margot and Zach, so they
I should not be surprised by my own skills of deduction.
They confirm each other's appearance in the salon, which is good. Zach went missing though.
This will not get me any closer.
Jackie was in the
Some
library.
would say a lucky guess.
Jackie and Hugo confirm each other's appearance in the library. Ernesto was lurking in the
Another
library. Gideon was present.
Magnifique.
Margot and Gideon confirm each other's appearance. Hugo was in the library. Margot was in the salon. Jackie was in the library. Ernesto was in the library. Angeline is still upset. I don't know what to do.
The pieces
Yes.
of the puzzle are finally coming together.
Margot claims Zach stepped out of the room, but Gideon did not mention it. Was his missing time accounted for? Talk to Zach, baby. Hi, Zach.
I'm an open book, Poirot.
Your version of
I told
events.
you already. I was here in the salon.
And you did not leave even once.
Well, I had to use the bathroom. I didn't realize I had to update you every time nature called.
You may keep your calls of nature to yourself, merci. And then you returned to the salon.
If you don't believe me, ask Archibald. He saw me on his way up to the study.
I
Okay.
think that is all for now. Merci.
So he peed. Okay. There's a lot of things I'm missing.
Things are
Yes.
beginning to
Okay,
become
I knew
clearer.
it had something to do with him being in the library. Hugo failed to mention seeing Ernesto in the library. Talk to Hugo.
Whatever you require, detective.
His story of tonight's
I
events.
know you are probably used to dealing with criminals, but not everyone is trying to hide something.
I hope for your sake that you do not hide anything from me.
What is it you think I'm hiding?
I struggle to believe you did not know of Monsieur da Silva's presence in the library.
Is that what this is about? I saw him hiding in the corner, pretending to read. I'd be surprised if he even could. I did not speak to him, and he certainly didn't make any attempt to speak with me.
Monsieur Demire invited you here to speak with him. You didn't see that as a fitting time too?
I was speaking with Jacqueline, and quite frankly, I was in no mood to be dealing with that man.
Monsieur Beckers is courageous and full of vigor in his planning, but his execution does not share such confidence.
Merci, Monsieur Beckers. It has been a most enlightening conversation.
Has it? Okay. So, yes, Hugo saw Ernesto.
What a revelation!
Hugo and Ernesto now confirm each other's appearance in the library.
I should not be surprised by my own.
Hugo, Ernesto, and Jackie support each other's versions of events. Someone else must be responsible. Talk to Archie.
Can you confirm seeing Monsieur Demire in the hall this evening?
Zachariah, yes. I was on my way with a bottle of whiskey to the Major. He shouted a rather ignorable greeting to me and asked for directions to the bathroom.
I presume you showed him the way?
Aye, detective. I showed him to the hall bathroom. I didn't think it was wise to attempt the stairs, not in that state.
So
What
that
a
explains
revelation!
his missing. Archibald confirms Zachariah's movements out of the salon, however brief.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together.
Gideon, Zachariah, and Margot were all in the salon, at least for some time altogether. Surely someone else is to blame. Even with some minute differences in stories, the guests all confirm each other's alibis. It is not the outcome I was expecting, or perhaps hoping for. Yeah. It's crazy. Come, my little grey cells, let us solve this mystery. New mind map. That did not yield the result I desired. Perhaps a more direct approach, considering their potential motives, will reveal more. I guess go talk to them again. Hi, Zach.
I'm an open book, Poirot.
Did you speak with the Major this evening?
Why would I? I've got nothing to say to him, except maybe to keep his hands off what is ours.
What is yours that he could want?
Money, of course. Why do you think he has been suckling at the Van den Bosch teat for so long? He's bled them dry, and now they will all do the same to our money.
Our?
My father's, Gideon's, it's all the same.
I get the sense you and Monsieur Gideon are not the closest.
When you have not been on level playing fields for years, it's hard to have a fair game.
I am afraid I do not quite understand.
If we're playing golf, he has a full set of clubs and a caddy in the form of my father, and I have the old split putter. Make sense now?
Perfectly.
There is certainly some hostility towards his brother. This runs much deeper than brotherly rivalry.
I think that is all for now. Merci for your time.
Hello, Hugo.
Whatever you require, detective.
How do you know the victim?
I know that I don't think, or didn't think, a great deal of him. I'm just sorry I didn't get the chance to tell him what I thought.
The man has recently been murdered.
Someone must stand up to men like him, with their crooked dealings and lack of, well, any compassion at all.
Another rousing speech, monsieur.
It's the truth. If you knew what I know, maybe he wouldn't be dead, but behind bars instead.
Your connection to the family is through Monsieur Demir, n'est-ce pas?
Yes, Gideon invited me. If you will recall from our previous conversation, we have been working together and he thought now would be a good time to discuss matters.
To discuss business at the celebration of his engagement?
We're all here, so what better time? He thought Da Silva might even let his guard down if he was in a more jubilant mood. It would be wise to not continue to ignore us any longer.
And what business was it that was so urgent?
We're trying to resolve the worker strikes. It has gone on long enough. Now is the time for him to listen to our demands so we can put an end to it all. Put the violence and upset behind us.
You seem to hold a certain level of, shall we say, anger towards the
Anger,
Major.
yes, but that's all. I wouldn't kill a man.
You must see why this leads me to have suspicions.
You can't honestly think I did it. I am a man of peace. I make changes with words, not with violence.
I barely mentioned the Major and Monsieur Beckers became rather flustered and defensive. When was the last time you saw the Major? Last I saw, he was outside having a cigar. Oui, I spoke with him myself, but that was some time ago. He does love a cigar. You'd have to stand out in those conditions. I could barely see him through the snow. Weird this isn't voice acted. So, are there plans for a negotiation with Monsieur de Silva?
I am fighting for the basic
Interesting.
rights of our workers, nothing more. If he can't see that, he is a lesser man than I already thought.
And where does Monsieur Gideon fit into the negotiations? And his brother?
His brother? I didn't even know he had a brother until I arrived here. Gideon certainly hasn't talked much about him. I get the sense there's not much love lost between them.
Okay.
Merci, Monsieur Beckers. It has been a most enlightening conversation.
Yeah, let's have a look what that did. Nothing. Me and my red shoes going to talk to Ernesto.
More questions? I suppose so.
Can you tell me more about your relationship with the deceased?
Felix, I didn't know him that well. We spoke a handful of times. I met him through Cassandra. I thought him to be rather pompous.
But you remained polite, as any gentleman would.
Of course.
The negative opinion of the Major is rather ubiquitous. I am yet to meet someone with a particularly positive view of him. Both you and the Major have been very supportive of Madame Van den Bosch over the years, n'est-ce pas?
That is correct.
And the reason for your support was always of a purely platonic nature.
If you're trying to insinuate that I was expecting something in return, you can remove your head from the gutter.
I meant no offense. I'm only trying to understand the dynamic of your relationship.
I may need to approach this in a different manner. Perhaps I should speak with the Comtesse on this. You said you had talked with the Major a few times. About what exactly?
He had approached me about doing some business together. I like to know who I'm getting into bed with first.
And you both went ahead with your business venture.
Not so much a business venture, more security related. But there is no need to discuss that any further.
Is there something you wish to remain hidden about your partnership, monsieur?
It was far from a partnership. I hired him to run security at my factories. If the workers were going to get violent, I wanted to make sure I was ready to protect my property.
Why don't you tell me more about your relationship with Madame van den Bosch?
What is there to say? She's a remarkable woman, and I admire her. Even after Edwin's death, she held herself with such poise.
It sounds as though you hold her in the highest regard.
And why shouldn't I? Women these days could
Of
take a
course,
leaf out
sure.
of a book on how to present themselves.
Merci for your cooperation.
Weird cooperation. I keep doing that because I think it's like left.
No trouble at all.
Right click to walk, sorry. Okay, I spoke with your brother earlier. He was certainly enjoying himself.
I do not mean to pry, only I imagine the whole room was aware of his celebrating with a bottle.
You must be mistaken. Neither my brother nor I drink.
Are you kidding? I do not know how he could not have noticed the state his brother was in. Perhaps one does not see what one does not want to believe. With the joining of your two families and the Major being around so much, I assume you knew him well.
I knew of him more than actually knowing him myself. In the past, he made his feelings towards my brother and I quite clear.
And that was not in a positive way.
I certainly wouldn't call trying to get Angeline to postpone the engagement positive.
I'd like to ask you about your work with the union.
I have lent my voice to some discussions. I have tried to facilitate meetings. Just positive support.
Does that positive support include sending letters to those on the opposing side?
Detective Poirot, I'm not sure what you think I have done.
Monsieur, a letter has been found threatening the Major of what might happen if he does not act promptly, and now he has wound up dead.
You think my sending him a letter, warning him not to get involved, means I murdered him?
At this time, it is certainly reason for me to be suspicious.
I have been funding the strikes, Detective. These men deserve fair treatment, and a wage that fits the hard work they undertake every single day. The Major didn't see that. All he cared about was the money for his services, and that is all I care to discuss.
It appears Monsieur's letter was at least written with noble intentions, but he is still hesitant to talk more about the Majors Association. He is still hesitant to talk more on the Majors Association. How is your relationship with your brother?
We aren't the closest, but what brothers are?
A lot of brothers are close.
I would argue that many are.
Yeah.
We've lived very different lives. Our priorities are different. He does not see things the way I do. There isn't much more to say.
There is clearly more to uncover here. I shall return to the matter when I have the fuel that is required to get the answers.
If you would be so kind as to stay here, I may require your help further.
I am all yours, detective.
What of Madame van den Bosch and Monsieur de Silva's relationship?
What of it?
Do you believe there was something more to their friendship?
As I have said, detective, I am not one to gossip.
I would not even consider your name and that word in the same sentence.
Because it is not gossip when it's the truth.
I'm not sure that is exactly correct, but the Comtesse has made a bold attempt to justify her wagging tongue.
Why else do you think he would stay around for so long? Yes, he was a friend and partner to the Viscount, but it is plain to see it is Cassandra's partnership he longs for.
Did you ever speak to the Major about how he treated Madame van den Bosch?
Why would I actively choose to speak to that wretched man?
You were quite adamant of your protection of Madame. If he was as awful as you portrayed him to be, there must have been some words spoken, or perhaps written?
He was quite aware of how I felt towards him, and the lengths he has gone to remain close to the family. That is all that needs to be said.
I must admit, I would not want to be on the receiving end of your tongue's wrath, Countess.
Wise thinking, detective.
I am sure you have noticed Madame van den Bosch's absence.
I imagine she will have shed a tear for him, but she should not waste any more.
You don't think she would? Or you don't want her to?
I have made it quite clear what I think of that man, alive or dead. I would not want her to waste anything further on him.
I don't know who has the sharper tongue, Madame van den Bosch or the Comtesse. It is certainly a close race for first place. You have explained that the Major was trying to remain close to the family, but not why.
He was a disgusting leech that was driven only by money and power, like most men.
I can assure you not all men are concerned with such egotistical wealth.
That may be, but they are few and far between. I believe you are a special case, Detective Poirot.
It is not the first time I have been described in such a way.
Embrace the compliment, Detective. You have set yourself apart from the horrid crétins that seem to somehow make their way into positions of authority and power.
And that is what the Major was doing? Using Madame van den Bosch as his ladder to the top?
You are finally seeing the man he was. A weak and self-indulgent social climber.
The Comtesse has certainly opened my eyes to the Major's true ambitions with the van den Bosch family. I wonder if Madame herself is aware of his greed and hunger for social recognition.
Merci, Comtesse. If I have any further questions, I shall be sure to come and find you.
She probably was in some way.
You came to the right place. What do you need?
What did you know of the victim?
I know that he was not the good and honest man he liked to think he was.
In what sense?
If you spoke to him for longer than 5 minutes, you'd know. I've met people in dark alleys I trust before him.
And on the occasions when you did speak with him, what was discussed?
I'm sorry, Poirot. If you're looking for a deep-seated secret between me and him, you're going to be disappointed.
Mademoiselle Conrad is wise to the nature of this question. She knows exactly what and what not to say. This nut may be harder to crack than first expected. What are your thoughts on the Comtesse? I'd appreciate your opinion on her.
I don't know if you really would. She's got a mouth the size of Texas, except when it comes to truths about her. She wants everyone to think that she's the savior of these girls at the shelter. But there's a side to her I don't think anyone gets to see.
She's also right there, so I hope she can't hear everything you're saying.
And what side is that?
One that she is keeping tucked away under her very expensive dress.
You hear that? I can only see the work at a woman's shelter as positive. Even if the reason to start came from a selfish place, the work they do cannot be scoffed at. You seem to know a great deal about everyone. What can you tell me about Monsieur de Silva and Madame van den Bosch?
If you think you can use me as some sort of gossip machine, you are sorely mistaken.
I can assure you it is not a case of gossiping. At this point, everything may be relevant to my investigation.
So I would be helping you potentially solve a crime? You should have said that off the bat. To say he's smitten is an understatement. I reckon he's been wanting you for years.
I see. Madame does not feel the same?
Doesn't look like it. If she did, she would have said something about it, right?
As you were previously speaking with him, I assume you know Monsieur Beckers as well then.
That man has got some real anger issues. I get why he's frustrated. He's trying his best for the workers, but holding on to rage like that, something's gonna burst.
A man suppressing his anger in a murdered body. The most amateur detective could see a connection.
You have been most helpful. I request you do not go too far. Merci.
Yes. Hello, Margot.
I am all yours, Detective.
Push on the Major's aggression towards Cassandra. Oh, okay.
Comtesse, you gave me the impression the Major and the Madame were close, but there were times where he acted rather aggressively to her, n'est-ce pas?
I am sorry, Detective, but I did not mean to give you such an impression.
I have already built a rapport with the Comtesse, some may even say in a flirtatious manner. Perhaps if I continue to charm her, she will reveal the information I require. It is obviously I who am mistaken. A fine woman of your stature would not purposefully lead a young man astray.
Ever the charmer, detective. I would talk more on it, but I'm afraid Cassandra would think I am talking about her behind her back.
The Comtesse has something more to say, but she still holds back. Something tells me it is more to do with receiving attention. Perhaps I can use that to my advantage. Yeah, you obviously care a great deal about Madame Vandenbosch. Assisting me will help clear her of any wrongdoing. That is what you want for her, isn't it?
It is not often I am swayed so easily. I applaud you on your willingness and persistence. From day one, I was wary of his intentions. And it was not long before he showed his true colors. If it is a tear she sheds, it should be one of joy that he is out of her life.
I understand your feelings towards the Major, but perhaps there was...
He was a bully. He took his shortcomings out on her, and she sat there and accepted it. I never thought I would see the day. Perhaps now she will be able to see the man he truly was. Karma will always catch up to you.
Okay.
Merci, Comtesse. If I have any further questions, I shall be sure to come and find you.
Alright, Zach. Hello.
I'm an open book, Poirot.
Your relationship with your brother, it seems everyone has an opinion.
That doesn't surprise me, and yet no one actually asks.
I am asking now.
I should have expected that, shouldn't I? What is there to say? We used to be close, but not so much anymore.
I would find it very helpful if you could at least elaborate on your relationship.
He went to school, got an education, and was the apple of our father's eye. I went to war. See the difference now.
Monsieur has again mentioned his time in the war. While I do not mean to belittle his efforts for his country, it seems as though he has not been able to leave that life behind on the battlefield. What do you know of your brother's work with the Union?
If you want to know about Gideon's part in the Union, why don't you ask him?
So, you are aware of his support for them?
Yes, well, he...
Oui, monsieur?
It'd be best to just ask him.
Monsieur either does not know much of what his brother does, or he is protecting him rather coyly.
I think that is all for now. Merci for your time.
That right click gonna kill me. Hey, Gideon.
No trouble at all. How can I help?
I'd like to talk more about your brother.
I believe there are more important matters at hand than talking about my brother and I's relationship, or lack thereof.
The murderer is in his house, and by holding back information that may help my investigation, you only make me suspicious of your involvement. Monsieur Demire, if you continue to withhold information, I can only assume you are hiding something, and must treat you as a prime suspect in the Major's murder.
Damn, Poirot, you're going strong with him.
I have nothing to hide. If you must know, we have not been on the best terms for years now. As I said, we are different people. He does not see the importance of planning for the future, and as much as my parents tried, they could not make him see that. I suppose that is why he sees me as their favorite.
He still believes that now?
I assume so. We barely talk anymore. I was hoping we would be able to sit down and talk and leave the past behind. But this evening has not panned out that way.
If you would be so kind as to stay here,
Okay. Okay, so we got some things. So Gideon is trying to start negotiations. Hugo has dirt on the Major, because the Major
Order
is
and method.
involved in the strike. I don't know. Cassandra more than a friend to Ernesto.
Things are beginning to become...
Perhaps Ernesto had hidden his secret love well. We can use this to our advantage. Hugo's frustrated, but he's claimed to calm down. Hugo claims to have calmed down since his argument with the Major, but Jackie disputed this. Ernesto is fond of Cassandra, we know that. Zaki resents Gideon.
I must take a different approach.
Gideon feels detached from him, I guess.
Another success.
The brothers are suspicious individually, but I cannot see them working together. Gideon is hesitant to mention his past with the negotiations. Let's go talk to Ernesto. Let's just get this over with,
More
hey?
questions?
Apologies for the insistent questions on the subject, but you and Madame van den Bosch.
Mademoiselle Conrad was quick to talk of your hidden feelings towards her. Perhaps only hidden to Madame van den Bosch herself.
What has this got to do with the Major's death? Does Cassandra know you have spoken to others about this? I have only tried to help her.
I am merely asking the question. There is no reason to panic. It would greatly help me if you would answer honestly.
There may be some feelings there, but Madame van den Bosch does not know of them, and I trust that it will remain that way.
Merci for your cooperation.
That didn't bloody help me, did it? There's clearly something I'm missing. I don't know.
I should not be surprised
Oh
by
my
my
God.
own skills of deduction.
Ernesto denies Cassandra is more than a friend.
Some would say a lucky guess. I would...
He claims not to be close to his brother, but still seeks to withhold information about him. I have my own opinion of the Major, one that is wiser kept to myself, but I did not expect so many like-minded thinkers. I should think further on what I have heard in my quarters. Talk to Archie.
My time with the guests is complete. For tonight, at least.
Do you know who killed Major Hagen?
I am afraid it is not as simple as that. There are many steps that lead to the truth. I must think on everything I have heard this evening and dissect the truths from the lies. Merci for your assistance this evening. Au revoir.
I came here expecting to solve a case of blackmail, to relieve a family of a burden that has weighed upon them and overshadowed a joyous celebration. And now there's a murder. I have never been to an engagement celebration where a death has taken center stage before. Although the guest alibis confirm each other's, I still cannot rule out the possibility of one of them being involved in the Major's death. The relationships between some of the guests and the Major were more than rocky. Dislike towards him was plentiful, but enough to drive someone to murder? This is now the perfect opportunity to think about everything I've heard today. And I will be doing that next time I play this game because my brain hurts. And I'm not good at deducing things. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.